Okay, hello. Welcome to the second or potentially more if you count smaller failed attempts of recording this video. I actually had it recorded and it was 40 minutes long and I was in the middle of editing all of it and my laptop crashed, deleting everything. So I'm going to redo it now. Uh, I'm trying to go off of whatever I remember saying because everything is unscripted because I'm in the middle of moving and also very very tired in general. But yeah, I recently finished A Light in the Mist, and by recently I mean today. I've been putting an automatic screen reader on top of the PDF that I had for it and just been listening to that while I've been packing. So the book is kind of, there are probably some things which I missed, some things which I didn't get as well, but overall I have opinions on this book and I would like to share those. Obviously, this is going to contain spoilers for Light in the Mist, the rest of Broken Code, and even whatever we know so far of a Starless clan. So, be warned. This is unscripted, but I do have a general order in which I want to talk about things. Also, I did get a better mic, but there is still a lot of general noise where I live, and I haven't fully figured out how to manage this super well. So I'm sorry if there's any weird background noise, and any feedback on fixing this would be appreciated. But okay, yes. Now, on to the actual book. First of all, is like my general thoughts on the book. And I would say I liked parts of it, which I get is the general consensus from what I can see. It definitely had some really good moments. Obviously, Bristol Frost's whole thing, the ending, and it had a lot of potential for the next arc. And that's kind of one of the things which I am conflicted about is that they were able to wind down from the big bad battle with Ashfur in the latter half of the book, which I'm happy for, and they could actually focus on Root Spring grieving and things like that. But it also felt like it was just a lot of setup for the book after this, because even while we were having these conversations, it didn't really, because it was the last book and the clans hadn't actually decided on anything, just that they would start discussing. It kind of puts a little bit of a misleading start to the next series, because it's like, hey, are you gonna actually make these changes? Are you guys actually gonna discuss this stuff or not? But as for the book right now, like this is kind of like, this section was just supposed to be about this book, but I've kind of mixed it with talking about the next book. But for this book itself, I liked it because it had a lot of warriors just kind of being dramatic and petty, which I'm down for. I like all of the reunions in the Dark Forest where everyone's like, ha, Grace Tribe, you look weird, or like, hey, Firestar, thanks for that speech. It's freaking cringe though. Like, I liked all that. That was cute. And the rest of it was just kind of, it was nice. I was kind of not super invested though, because at points they would just kind of start chatting casually in the middle of the Dark Forest, and that was not really, that kind of killed a little bit of tension for me. But overall, I like the book. Now, about specific characters, this is where I get, this is where I would like to thrive. I'm gonna go at these one at a time. So first of all, talking a little bit about Root Spring. I like Root Spring. I like him being this very embarrassed young teenager, and I like who he's become right now, which is just bit of a regular hero guy, but whatever. I like the angst that he has at the end. I really really like that he seems like he's gonna be a bit of a problem in the next arc, or at least maybe I'm reading too into it, but I think he's gonna be a bit of a problem in the next arc as well, because you look at them giving him the title of Light in the Mist, which is a big heroic title, and then you look at the fact that he is bitter and jealous at other cats, and even though he's doing the nice boy thing of saying, well, I shouldn't let my own negative feelings affect others, but he's still negative and bitter about it. And I feel like because he's not looking to take out his anger on others, he will be a problem in the next arc, because if the leaders are discussing things, I feel like, and I want him to use the fact that he's a celebrated hero to just kind of stand up to the leaders constantly and say, hey, wait, no, what about this, what about that, or just start problems and start fights at gatherings, and not necessarily for evil. Like, if, for example, the leaders say that, hey, we want to make it so that if you are in love with someone, you leave your clan, but you leave the kittens there, or you give the kittens to that clan to make up for your loss, and Rootspring would stand up and say, no, that's absolute bullshit. Like, I want him to be the guy who is constantly picking fights, constantly doing all this stuff, and making our protagonists kind of think about the society that they're growing up in and that they're living in. And I feel like that's why it's cool that they took a new apprentice, a fairly old apprentice, and a young warrior for that. Like, I feel like it would suit that format of the different stages, and also because it's like two girls, one guy. That definitely does play into Warrior Cat's gender politics, which I do not want to get into right now, or probably for a while. There's better people who could talk about this way better than me. But yeah, I like that part of Root Spring, and I definitely am excited to see if that happens, and I hope it does. His role in this book, like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember too much of the early book. It was kind of just, yes, he's there, he's doing his job and whatnot. And I like that he uses his powers, that he now relies on that. Like, that is good growth. Next is Bristlefrost, and I don't know. Like, with Bristlefrost, it's a little complicated because I liked her always, but I don't really like her that much in this book as a person. Like, she's great. I'm glad that she died to save her clan like she wanted, which, whatever. Please aim higher, but whatever. I like her death scene a lot, but the thing is that I like what her death does for everyone else. It does a lot for Shadowside, it does a lot for obviously ending the conflict with Ashfur, it does a lot for Ivypool, it does a lot for Rootspring, it does a lot for, like, probably pushing forward the Starless clan a bit, but that mostly depends on Rootspring. But it doesn't really do much for her. Like, there isn't too much going on with her, so, which is kind of disappointing. But the one silver lining in this is, or like, not even silver lining, the one thing I guess that kinda does is cool, is the fact that her first in real introduction was her rescuing Root Spring from drowning, and now she ends her presence in this series completely, like, no ghost, no nothing, by drowning Ashfur. And I do like the fact that she does not become a ghost in Starkland, the fact that she is gone forever completely. Like, that definitely adds more to it. But not too much to say about Bristlefrost as her own person. Shadowside is, gosh, like, I don't know, because he just feels like a punching bag, to be honest. Like, I don't remember the other two being described as having a lot of scars or stuff like that, but I think Shadowside has like a torn ear that's like he's deaf in one ear, plus he has like some scars on his face and on his body. Like, he's just badly beaten up. And like, not to side with Ashfur and be mean to Shadowside, but like, he definitely is kind of just there to be a liability, I guess, or like a damsel in distress kind of a thing, where it's like Bristlefrost literally dies because of Shadowside. And I'm not saying that as like oh well, Shadowside shouldn't be there because he's useless. No, it's like they don't give him much to do. He did not do much, I felt, in that final confrontation of him and Ashfur to really warrant like, oh, he got the final say. It was mostly just Ashfur threatening him, I feel, and then he was the obstacle that Bristlefrost needed to protect from Ashfur. Or yeah, words are hard. But I really just wish that Shadowside got more stuff to do on his own, that he could do a lot more, you know? And like, I feel like a lot of what was given to Rootspring could have also been given to Shadowside. Like, Rootspring has this thing where when Starkland comes and they say that, oh well, the Dark Forest cats can't go to Starkland, Rootspring calls them out on that shit. And I would have liked it if Shadowside also did the same, but he also stood with Rootspring and said, yeah, you know what, this is right, because Ashfur, a Starkland cat, manipulated me so badly, whereas these cats, I can actually trust them more or less, or like Snowtuft, who died for us. As for Shadowside himself, he just constantly suffers throughout this whole thing, and I don't know why. And I want them to do something maybe with like his relationship to Mothwing, and I think that's another reason why they either made him lose his star walking, dream walking thing, or another reason why they gave Frostpaw like mothering an apprentice is like either one or the other happened because of the other. I feel, yeah, words is because I do think that we might get a bit more of his relationship with Mothwing, or just his relationship with not being able to see Ghost StarClan, not Ghost StarClan. Yep. But yeah, that's about it for Shadow Side from me. I don't have any strong opinions. Like the protagonists, I do like them all, and I do feel that no matter what, there was always like a good and a bad when it comes to defeating Ashfur with all three protagonists. And like I'm gonna talk about Ashfur now, but also related to the three, because I'm happy that Bristlefrost killed him, because it definitely does a lot for her initial connection to Ashfur when he was kind of mentoring her. And like, at least when I was reading it, I thought that he was gonna like turn her into like the Fire Scene 2.0, you know? Or so, like he was trying to, and then she realized, no, actually that's wrong, he's wrong, this isn't good, you know. And obviously has a connection with Shadowside, but like because he has a connection with Shadowside, it's a shame that Shadowside didn't get to do anything. But because Bristlefrost and he also had a connection, it makes sense that she was able to take him out. Like, you know, it's just this thing of like, no matter who did it, like if it was just one protagonist taking him out, it would have still felt a little odd. But they did their best, and I'm pretty happy with it. Ashfur himself, though, I love Ashfur. I'll be honest, when I first saw the book's previews and stuff coming out, I did not have any interest in reading it, because I was like, no, I don't have the stamina to get through a book. I'm just gonna look up the summaries, and I did initially just do that, but I was convinced that the book is actually better than the summaries, and it is. It absolutely is. Um, but anyway, yeah. But like the one thing that really got me hyped, and the one thing that I did actually read before the book came out, and the one thing which I wanted to read was the Ashfur prologue. And ooh, I love that. That got me so hyped for this book, man. Because it's just Ashford's POV is really fun, because he's just a guy out here like, yeah, I'm gonna throw a freaking temper tantrum fit over the fact that somebody broke up with me 20 years ago. And his attitude is good. I don't like the, at least like personally, I'm not a huge fan of him threatening Shadowside towards the end, because then he's like an actual serious menacing antagonist instead of just being the guy who is very petty. Like it feels like his archetype, or his the type of character he is kind of looked down on by everyone else in the story, because they're like, ugh, Ashfur's obsessed and nothing's good. Like, you know, it's clearly like, ah, yes, he is only a threat because he is being like this, but we have nothing but disgust for him, not fear. Whereas the menacing antagonist thing is kind of like, oh yes, I fear him, you know, like that's the vibe. And I don't feel like that fit Ashford too well personally, but you know, whatever, it's fine. What's done is done. But speaking of Ashford, though, I want to like very briefly go over Squirrel Flight and Bramblestar. This is mostly just because I remembered the one scene where Greystripe was dying and Squirrel Flight looks distraught, or she was just shown to be like teary eyed or something, and Bramblestar's like, "Yes, Greystripe, you have served your clan well. Goodbye." You know, and it's just like, sir, are you okay? Emotions? I don't know. I feel like those two need to just retire or die already, because they had to bring back Ashford, a arc 2 or arc 3 conflict. Like it was kind of both an arc 2 and arc 3 conflict. They had to bring it back just to give us political drama related to the leader and deputy. If you cannot think of drama related to the leader and deputy that's not relevant in like one arc ago or the current arc, then get rid of them and give us new ones. I know everyone wants Ivy Star, but like Ivy Star actually makes sense, and Ivy Pool having a super edition now makes sense, because you know, like she just lost her daughter. That could cause a lot of drama in the next arc. Like everyone, like I want Bristlefrost's death, because she didn't have much to do herself, but she was such a positive force for those around her. I want her death to be one of the things that ignites a lot of political drama, like both among the various clans inside the clan and also between the clans and Star Clan. I said the word clan a lot. Ugh. But yeah, I want her death to do that and to have that effect, especially because she cannot have a say in it anymore. She can't descend from StarClan and tell them, "Hey, you guys shouldn't fight." No, because she's gone. She is gone. But yeah, there's not too much about like Bramblestar and Squirrelflight specifically, nor is there too much else about the other cats, like the living cats who go into the dark forest, as well as like the dead cats. Not counting like Starkland and Dark Forest, but like the dead cats who are trapped there. They kind of didn't do much. Like they were involved, but I didn't really get super strong vibes from any of them. Like I just find it kind of funny how involved Misty Star is getting now, because preparation for the next arc. But it's kind of not annoying, but it's kind of weird how in the last scene where all of the medicine cats are gathered, I don't think SkyClan medicine cats say a single word. Like everybody else shares news of some kind, but they just don't say anything, which is, okay, sure, whatever. But okay. Now on to like a little thing that actually does have some significance is like the family members of the main cast, especially Ivy Pool. But we're going to talk about the other family members first, just to get them out of the way. I don't think, like, despite the fact that a lot of the book was in Root Spring's point of view, his family is probably the least interesting. Like, the grieving process, Needleclaw's there and she's nice, and Tree has his background, which makes him interesting always, but there wasn't too much that his parents and his family really got to do. Like, Needletail and Violetshine were reunited, and I definitely think that that is a good thing for people who care about Avos, but I'm not really a fan of that whole thing, because I love the reunion on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like they didn't do anything in this arc. Like Violet Shine is not been a presence for a good majority of this arc. Like it's not like Grey Stripe, where they kind of made him relevant by bringing him up in like the super edition and doing all this other stuff. Even if you put aside the super edition, they gave him so much significance in one book, so that's why his death has a meaning now. He had a good send off, even though I don't care too much about him personally, but he had a good send off. But characters like Violet Shine, it's like they were brought back in here, and like I think to Crowfeather also, to an extent, they were kind of brought back in here just mostly to kind of give a happy resolution to fans, which is good. It is still good. But I'm just not, I don't know, it just does not hold much narrative weight for me. The Crowfeather thing still kind of does, because he then kind of starts asking and arguing a lot about forbidden relationships, which, good job, Crowfeather. I'm proud of him. Proud of him. But okay, no, putting aside like Ruth Spring's family, Dovewing and Tigerheart Star are pretty good, like I like them, but there's not too much to say that hasn't already been said, because Tigerheart's a nice dad overall. He definitely does make mistakes, and Dovewing's kind of there, but the interesting family is like Bristlecross's family, because it's especially Ivy Pool and Fernsong. Fernsong to a lesser extent, because he's mostly just emotional support, but man, I want the Ivy Pool Super Edition, or at least a novella. I want to see some stuff from her. Like I don't want to force it in the next arc. Like if they have a different story to tell, that's great. I can always just enjoy fan theories, but there is so much they could do. Because imagine being Ivy Pool. Imagine murdering Antbelt in the Dark Forest when you're younger and saying, well, he's gone forever. And like, does that weigh on her every day? And the second that she heard that's what happened to Bristlecross, she was horrified? Or did that just not sink into her too much because she barely knew him until it happened to Bristlecross? And then not only is her grief at losing her daughter back, but also the grief of like what she personally did to others, you know? Like just that whole thing. I really like that. I really like what it does for her character, and I do hope that like she is going to be a bit of a problem in the next arc, but I don't think it's likely, at least not as much as Root Spring. And As a side for Ivy Pool, I am very happy because this absolutely validates a animation idea I've been planning out. So rubbing my hands together, hoping for that to happen. But yeah, there's only a few things left to talk about. One is the big thing which I am very very excited about, but also very very disappointed by, which is Dark Forest cats. Because I really like the Dark Forest cats, and I like that both them and Starkland don't want to work with each other, but there is a mutual benefit for them, and that's why it's like, oh yeah, you believe this. The only thing which, and I do like the Dark Forest cats know their value, like some of them, like Juniper Claw wants to be the guardian or whatever, like good for him, do whatever you want, but other Dark Forest cats know their value. They're like, no, Starkland rejected us. We're not gonna go groveling to them. Like, good for you guys. And also this, there was that part where it's like, hey, you guys gotta thank Starkland because they saved you, and it's like, shouldn't they be thanking us? We also saved them, you know. I like that, and I like that the hypocrisy of what Starkland is doing by keeping them out was brought up by Root Spring. I just hope it gets addressed. Like that is my big worry. That's my big worry, not obstacle, is that I want this to be addressed because it is an interesting thing and it shows that even Starkland can be changed. And I'm not talking about what's likely to happen because of, marketing and sales, etc., etc. I'm just talking about like from a story perspective, and I don't even expect any of this to happen, but I'm just going to say it. Just say it into the world. But what I kind of feel conflicted about is the backstories of the characters, because we didn't like there was this one scene where I think it was Maggot Tail or not there was someone else, Silverhawk, who or at least like three different Dark Forest cats who look at Juniper Claw and they're like, well, nothing we did was as bad as what you did by poisoning an entire clan. And I think like throughout the book the Dark Forest cats do kind of drop hints on each other about their own backstories and stuff like that, and like they confess to their crimes a bit. And on one hand I would have liked for it, I don't mind if we have no info, because fan theories are amazing and there's already like good theories and maps and other things about various Dark Forest cats, I think, and like I'm into that. But at the same time, it's like, why would you bring this up if you're not going to give us more? Like, I want to know what crimes these cats committed that got them here. Like, I want to know what crimes got these guys kicked out of Starkland. I want to know what is so bad that it got them kicked out of Starkland, but not as bad as poisoning a fresh kill pile that Juniper Claw did. He who is a young cat who is ultimately portrayed as being a good guy, or like at least sympathetic to an extent. And yeah, but speaking of Starkland though, that is like, oh boy, I have already kind of said what I don't like about the whole concept of Starkland earlier in this, and honestly I'm kind of just I don't care much for Starkland, honestly. And like it's not even a very unique opinion that I have here, that oh yes, don't care about Starkland, because like they could be useful, but they could also not. I don't. I do like the one scene where I think a Dark Forest cat confesses his crimes, and Red Tail's like, "Why are you telling us this? It's not our business." Because, like, okay, yeah, sure, it isn't your business, but also with how much Starkland goes on and on about how good their place is and how good it actually is, because it is a good place. Like, it is fresh hunting and all that other stuff that Dark Forest doesn't have. I don't like this whole air of superiority that they have, and this whole air of like, well, being with us in our cool kids club is the ultimate, or whatever the hell, like I don't like that. But yeah, I don't know. I like this. I was okay with the Starkland stuff though, for the most part. Like the main thing which I'm not too happy about was Firestar being given importance again, because I mean, I get it, I get it. Technically, what he's done is a big deal, but it's also kind of very outdated. Like, we've had one arc in which Firestar was not in control, right? We've had that one arc in which we saw him take these cats that were constantly fighting and unite them more or less to the point where they don't fight much anymore, and that's good. But also, since then, we have had, like, we as an audience have had arc after arc after arc in the post Firestar era where there is peace. So it's kind of like that's the new norm. We're used to it. We don't know how bad things were before unless you buy like all the field guides and everything, just looking at the main series. We don't know how bad things were before that because that only lasted one arc. Whereas we are now going to have 7 arcs in the post Firestar, or 6 arcs in the post Firestar piece, because Dawn of the Clans, which maybe that does cover it, but I don't think it does because that's a completely different thing to the rest of Warriors, because that's just a very unique, different concept. But putting that aside, I do like the way they portrayed Firestar. I like his attitude, him just looking at Rootspring and going like, frick, this guy's too skinny and scrawny and pathetic for me to fight. And him taunting Dark Stripe. I was about to say Dark Tail, whoops. Him taunting Dark Stripe and him giving that heroic movie speech to Grey Stripe, who just kind of calls him out on it and everything. I like Firestar, but also I feel like we have too much Firestar, guys. Like, Firestar and Leaf Pool. Like, it feels weird that at the gathering, Misty Star was like, ah, yes, Firestar and Leaf Pool told us to do this. Like, really? Really? You're gonna take advice from a ThunderClan cat? From a kitty pet? Wasn't that a whole big thing? Why would you reveal that a kitty pet is giving you commands? Wouldn't you just say a StarClan cat, or wouldn't you want to start shit? You know? And obviously, that's not something that I'm saying should have happened in the books instead. I'm just kind of like gesturing at the conflict that seems to have just kind of flown out the window or not been existent anymore. Okay, I did have one more thing I was gonna say, but I could not for the life of me remember it, so I think I'm just gonna stop here for now. This was definitely an interesting book. It was an experience for sure, partly combined with my real life situation right now, but also combined with just the book being the way it is. It was fun. Um, but yeah, like if you want to swap any theories or anything like that, I'd be happy to know what other people thought about it. Like, let me know here, or I also have recently opened my Discord to be a public Discord, so we could just go and yell about Warrior Cats in a little corner there. I swear I'm always tired, but I like to yell about books and movies and games and TV shows, you know? And yeah, so hopefully video soon because I have to edit this and another one, but I have the other one recorded and I am getting the footage together for it. So yeah, until next time.